Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to AnnoyingCow Sports. I'm your host, Anthony Mennel, and today we're going to be previewing the matchups for Week 1. I don't know about y'all, but I am excited that football is finally here. We're, I believe 5 days away from Sunday, 2 days away from Thursday Night Football, where we'll have the game basically commemorating the 100th anniversary of the NFL. And, well, we're going to jump right in here. So, as I mentioned, it's going to be culminating the 100th anniversary of the NFL. Two of the oldest teams in the NFL, you have the Packers and the Bears. The Bears are currently 3-point favorites. I looked up the odds that I got for, or who's favorited, based off of last night. I don't know if anything's changed so far today, but as of last night when I looked, they were 3-point favorites. So in this matchup, we're finally going to get to see this Packers' new offense. Matt LaFleur comes in as the head coach. He's going to be calling plays. He's hoping to kind of revitalize Aaron Rodgers' offense. Was very poor last year, especially running the ball. They were, I believe, dead last in rushing attempts. And it's going to be a tough test. They're facing what was the number one defense last year. The Bears were, I believe, third in sacks. They led the league in turnovers. And they were just, yards-wise, they were one of the better defenses in the league. I think the Packers are going to have a more balanced attack here really all season long, and they're going to need it against the Bears. Granted, their Bears are a good rush defense, but they're going to have to run the ball more to really help open things up in the passing game. The Packers' offense won't look phenomenal. It's the Bears' defense. They're still a good defense. I do expect some regression from the defense. You don't expect the team to get as many turnovers as they did last year. But what I think the big surprise in this game is going to be is the Packers' defense. I think they're going to be improved, and I think you're going to see Chicago's offense struggle a little bit. And because of that, I think the Packers are going to win. I have the Packers winning this one 24-17, a close game. But I think the better offense of the Packers and the improved defense of the Packers are going to slow that Bears offense down a little bit, and I kind of expect Trubisky to struggle some. So that's, like I said again, Packers, I got winning 24-17. All right. What is up? All right, so gonna roll here into the Sunday games. So we're gonna kick things off with the Titans versus the Browns. The Browns are currently 5.5-point favorites in this one. So there's been a lot of hype around the Browns this offseason. How will this new offense look? Freddie Kitchens calling the plays all year this time. The addition of Odell Beckham Jr. How will they look? Is the big question. I think the Browns are actually going to look a little rusty early. Odell, he's practiced, but he hasn't been on the field with Baker. I don't think that's going to be a huge problem, but I think we saw in Tampa Bay, granted, I think the struggles you saw in the third preseason game against Tampa Bay, a lot had to do with the lack of weapons out there for Baker. But I could see a little rust, little early game jitters. That offensive line is still a bit of a question mark for the Browns. So may see a bit of a slow start offensively. Especially that coupled with the Titans have a good defense. They're a good defensive team. Mike Vrabel, the head coach, he's a defensive head coach. And I think that the defense will be able to slow the Browns up early in addition to just some early game jitters. But I think the main storyline is going to be the Browns' defensive line being dominant. They've shown that they can dominate all preseason long. They've only had, I believe, about 2 defensive drives where all 4 starting D linemen were out there. And even when Myles Garrett came off the field and the other 3 being Sheldon Richardson, Larry Ogunjobi, and Olivier Vernon were there, they were still dominating Tampa Bay against the starters. And a big thing that's going to hurt Tennessee is their starting left tackle, Taylor Lewan, is suspended for the first 4 games of the season, so he won't be there. And I think Myles Garrett is really going to have a good game on that on the line there. And so what I now see, I see the Browns struggling early, but really coming out in the second half and kind of blowing the game open. I got the Browns winning 31-13. Oh, is the Browns game the game of the week? A game not to miss? I mean, for me as a Browns fan, I'd say so. I don't think it'll be the best game. I think the Packers Bears will be if you're looking for a close game. I think that's one, and there's a few other very close games that we're going to be getting into here upcoming. All right. The next one we got is the Ravens versus the Dolphins. The Ravens are currently 6.5-point favorites. So in this one, the big thing coming into the season for the Ravens rather was how will Lamar develop as a passer and how will this new offense look? They kind of redeveloped it. I don't think that's going to really matter, honestly. The Dolphins don't have a great defense. Dolphins really as a team aren't good. The Ravens themselves still return a solid defensive unit. And I think Fitzmagic likes to throw the ball around. I expect him to throw a few interceptions in this one. Maybe see him connect with a long touchdown or two. A long touchdown, just one. But I think they're going to turn the ball over with Fitzmagic. Who knows how long he'll be the starting quarterback down there. It may be fun to watch. And then I expect the Ravens to just run all over the Dolphins' defense. This one to be a bit of a blowout, not quite too much of a terrible blowout. I got the Ravens winning 28-10. So, question was, why would the Chiefs pick up McCoy and drop Hyde? Hyde being the better back. Well, I think some of that has to do with familiarity. LaShawn McCoy was in Philadelphia with Andy Reid, so I think he trusts him a little bit more. And I don't know, Hyde didn't look good in the offseason. Really didn't look great in preseason either. I think that was just, I don't know, the Chiefs felt better with that move. Chiefs were also able to pick up a piece on the offensive line for Hyde. I don't know, maybe they just felt that was the more worth it move. I don't know, I think they were also comfortable not having either LaShawn McCoy or Carlos Hyde. I think it just kind of fell into their lap that LaShawn McCoy ended up getting cut. All right. Moving on to the Falcons and the Vikings. Vikings are currently 3.5-point favorites in this one. Now, I think both teams have great offenses. Expect the Vikings to improve offensively. Running the ball more this year, having Dalvin Cook healthy will help that running game look better. They do have one of the better receiving combos in the league with Thielen and Diggs. The Falcons' defense was very bad last year, but a lot of that had to do with injuries. I think they'll be improved this year, and offensively, the Falcons can really hang with anybody. But I think one thing that'll hurt the Falcons here is their offensive line struggled really all preseason. It was a question mark coming in. I think that's going to bite them in the butt a little bit here. I do expect it to be a close game, though, and I give the edge to the Vikings here at home. I have the Vikings winning 27-24. When it comes to must-see TV, good games to watch, I think that'll be a good one. I think it'll definitely be close the whole way, and that's one of those games where if the defenses struggle, you could see it turn into a bit of a shootout quick. But I think that'll be a good game to watch. All right. Now, the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Jets are coming in here favored by 3 points. I think we're going to see it early against a good Bills defense, how bad the Jets' offensive line really is. Will they be able to step up? I don't think they will. I think they're going to still be not a great unit. And I do think that's going to slow Le'Veon Bell down. He's a patient runner, and when the offensive line isn't opening holes for him, I think the patience is going to kind of bite him in the butt early. I think that's going to hurt him. Robbie Anderson has a calf strain. Right now he's tracking to be good to go week 1. But with like calves, hamstrings, things like that, it only takes one tweak in practice to really set you back and not be good to go week 1. And that's the Jets' number 1 receiver. Obviously, that'll hurt him against what is already a good defense in the Bills. I think the Jets' defense will be able to keep things close. Bills' offense isn't over the moon. But I think with the addition of John Brown and Cole Beasley at wide receiver, that's really going to help the Bills out here. And I give a slight edge to the Bills. I have the Bills winning 21-14. Alrighty. Next matchup we got is the Washington Redskins versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 9.5-point favorites right now, and I think this will probably be the biggest blowout of the weekend. The Redskins, their left guard, the guy that's going to be starting at left guard, they just signed off the street. He wasn't in anybody's camp, I don't believe. Their left tackle is very suspect since Trent Williams isn't coming back. And the Eagles are looking to be one of the best offenses and still having a solid defensive unit. And with just how poor that offensive line for the Redskins are, the Eagles' defense is going to look way better than what they probably actually are. There's probably going to be a lot of sacking of Case Keenum. And I just think it's going to be an ugly game for the Redskins. I got the Eagles really running away with this one, 35-6. All right. Moving on here, the LA Rams versus the Carolina Panthers. I think this one will be a bit of a shootout. Both teams have kind of run-of-the-mill defenses. Obviously, the Rams bring in one of the best offenses in the NFL. I don't expect them to skip a beat from last year. I know they struggled down the stretch. I think a lot of that had to do with the Cooper Kupp injury and a little bit to do with Todd Gurley. You got Todd Gurley theoretically fresh. Darnell Henderson should step in as well to be able to more of a change of pace. You may not see as much of a workload for Gurley as you're used to, just for the Rams trying to keep him fresh throughout the year. I think Darrell Henderson will be just fine as a change of pace back, having Cooper Kupp back and healthy. I think the Panthers' offense is a little underrated. I think DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel are both in line for good years this year, and I think you'll see it early here as the Panthers will have to throw a lot to stay in this one. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey will be relevant both on the ground and through the air. I do have the Rams winning, though. They are the better offense. I have them winning 42-31. All right. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Chiefs are currently only 4-point favorites here. I believe the expectation from Vegas with those odds is that the Jacksonville defense is going to be able to slow down the Chiefs, and that Nick Foles is really going to upgrade the Jags offense / the Chiefs defense is not great. I definitely agree that the Jags offense will probably look better than at least I expect them. I don't expect the Jags offense to be all that great this year, but I don't think the Chiefs' defense is all that improved. I think so. The Jags will look good. Leonard Fournette will probably look good. Nick Foles he'll look good early against a poor defense. But even though the Jags have a great defense, I don't think the Chiefs will really skip a beat much on offense. I think they'll keep rolling here, and I think the Chiefs will win this one 31-21. All right. Moving on to what was, I'd say, probably the hardest game for me to pick coming into the week was the Colts versus the Chargers. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites. That's honestly large in part because there's no Andrew Luck. I think if Andrew Luck is playing on the Colts, this is a no-brainer Colts win, in my opinion at least. But I think obviously the Colts aren't really Super Bowl contenders now. But I don't think Jacoby Brissett is as bad as people think. People kind of look back on that 2017 season where the Colts as a team around Brissett wasn't great. They had a bad defense. The offensive line was poor. And really outside of T.Y. Hilton, they didn't have much for weapons. Now you come in, the Colts defense is very much improved. They're very young. You have probably the best offensive line that the Colts have had in years. Definitely the best offensive line since Peyton left the team. And I think this is the best set of weapons since they've had Andrew Luck and since Peyton left. Not only you have T.Y. Hilton, you have Eric Ebron at tight end, Jack Doyle, I think Paris Campbell at wide receiver. I think he's set to have a good year with the Colts here. And Frank Reich's worked with backup quarterbacks. He was the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia when Nick Foles led them to a Super Bowl title. I think Frank Reich and his offense really tailors themselves to the quarterback's strengths. I think you'll see that here in a big way. And I think they'll look a lot better than people expect. The Chargers will struggle a little offensively without Melvin Gordon. I think Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson, they'll be fine, but you can't replace one of the best running backs in the NFL. It's going to take two guys to even get close to being able to replace him. And I think that Colts defense, I think they'll be good this year. A lot of young, raw talent there. I have the Colts winning a close one in what could become the game of the week here. In my opinion, Colts winning 24-21. All right, moving on to another blowout game. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks are 9.5-point favorites in this one. So coming in, you have a Bengals team that had one of the worst defenses last year. Really didn't do much to improve that defense. And the Seahawks are going to run the ball. They're going to run it a lot. And when you got Russell Wilson, a great quarterback, you don't really have any fear as an offense when you start passing the ball. And when you got the run game to set up play action pass, I really expect that the offense, for Seattle to be running on all cylinders here. And then for defensively for the Seahawks, they added Jadeveon Clowney early on, and I think he's going to make his presence felt early here. The Bengals have a poor offensive line. They tried to address that in the draft, but their first-round draft pick is going to miss the whole season due to an injury. Really, the offensive line, because of that, didn't improve much. That was going to be one of their big improvements. I think Clowney kind of makes his presence felt early on that D-line. I see them really dominating. The Bengals have Zach Taylor now calling the plays, hoping to have some of that Sean McVay magic as he's coming from that McVay coaching tree. But I don't expect him to be able to really get much going in this game. I have the Seahawks winning 35-13. All right. Next game is the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, a little news came out today about Zeke. Earlier this weekend, things were getting better for signing a deal And then at the end of the day, both sides were way far off. Then again, today it came out that the things were looking better. They were getting closer to a deal. Sounded like Zeke had flown to Dallas, no longer in Cabo. I also saw a report that both sides are hoping to have it wrapped up in 24 hours, so maybe later today. Let me pop over to ESPN real quick, see if it happened while the show's been going on. Doesn't look like it. They did sign one of their offensive linemen this week as well. So Cowboys out there spending a lot of money. It really sounds like Zeke will be there week 1. I don't think you'll see much of a struggle from the Cowboys offense. I think, Zeke will fill in like he would never left, honestly. Now you have I think the passing game will look much improved with Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper was practicing this week. He's dealing with plantar fascia, something with his foot. Has held him out for about a month now, I believe. But it's looking like he'll be good to go. You'll have him, Michael Gallup. I think the passing game's going to look good. Dak's out here to make his money this year to show that he is a franchise quarterback. The real struggle for the Giants, I think, is going to be offensively. I think it's only a matter of time before Daniel Jones takes over for Eli Manning. Obviously, Saquon Barkley will be just fine in that offense. He was fine last year when the team wasn't good. The offensive line is improved. They brought in Kevin Zeitler, one of the best guards in the league. The offensive line will be improved. That'll definitely help Barkley. But Dallas does have a good defense. I think this might be maybe closer than some people think. But all in all, I expect the Cowboys to win comfortably, 24-10. All right, Lions versus the Cardinals. Two not good teams playing here. The Lions are 2.5-point favorites on the road. There is some excitement around this game. We're going to get to see Kyler Murray for the first time in actual action, and going to get to see the air raid offense that Cliff Kingsbury is bringing in, and really get to see how it looks in the NFL. In the preseason, you saw a lot of 2 tight end sets out of the Cardinals. Some beat reporters, though, said that's not what you're seeing in practice. I think what you saw in preseason really wasn't what you're going to see throughout the regular season. I think they were going very vanilla. You see that throughout the preseason with everybody. But I think they were really trying to hide the air raid. Not that there isn't tape everywhere in college on the air raid offense, but I think they were kind of trying to hide that a little bit. I think the Cardinals' offense will look pretty good. I don't expect much from the Lions' defense here. That being said, the Cardinals had one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. Obviously, you expect some improvement there, but I don't think you'll see much. Yep, chat, I see mentioning Kerryon Johnson. I think Kerryon will have a pretty good day running on the Cardinals. I think they'll be able to slow the game down a little bit too with that run game and keep the Cardinals from being able to run up the score. But I think the Cardinals are better offensively, and I think the Cardinals will be able to outlast the Lions here and win 28-24. Unless I'm missing something in chat, it looks like you're talking to yourself there, Seismic. Unless you're talking at me, saying I'm wrong. Oh, about the Lions losing? I said I thought Kerryon would do well. Cardinals' run defense isn't great. All right. We have the San Francisco 49ers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bruce Arians came out of retirement to come down to Tampa Bay and hopefully sprinkle some of his quarterback magic on Jameis Winston here. The Bucs were a high-flying offense last year. I don't expect that to change at all. You still have Marquise Godwin and Mike Evans down there. Should be really just a high-flying offense still. Their defense wasn't great. I don't think it'll be very good again. 49ers have a pretty decent offense. They're going to have a pretty good running attack with Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida. They got George Kittle at tight end, one of the best tight end weapons in the NFL right now. The only thing is that I wonder about the Niners is they have Marquise Godwin, who's a field stretcher, and Dante Pettis, who is expected to kind of move into that wide receiver 1 role. Those will be their 2 starting wide receivers. But throughout training camp and preseason, there wasn't much good news coming out about Pettis. He was playing late into preseason game 3, talking about will he win his role. I question whether they really have enough weapons at wide receiver and offensively to keep up with Tampa. And the Niners have an average defense. They're hoping to improve on D-line with their trade for D Ford, and they drafted Nick Bosa. But I just don't think it's really going to be enough. I think the Bucs offensively will be good there, and I do question the wide receivers because really outside of those 2, they don't have much at wide receiver. The run game, they'll use obviously George Kittle a lot. The wide receivers in the pass game try and run the ball, keep the ball away from the Bucs being able to run up the score. But I do have the Bucs winning this one. I have the Bucs winning 31-28. Another close game there. All right. Now on to the Sunday night football. You have the defending Super Bowl champs will be raising the banner, and they'll be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Patriots are 5.5-point favorites here. Now, the Patriots, I think they're going to come out with a nice balanced attack. Sony Michel, see some use from Damian Harris. Josh Gordon will be playing in this game. I think that's going to be big for the Patriots offense. He'll be a good red zone threat, replacing what they lost in Gronk. Julian Edelman should be fine. I know he had a broken finger, but it looks like he'll be good to go week 1 as well. Now, I expect the Steelers offense to be just fine without Antonio Brown. I think Juju will look good. Granted, Bill Belichick, that'll probably be his one piece of the offense he tries to get rid of, is try and scheme Juju out of the game. And he may be able to do that to a point, but Dante Moncrief and James Washington are both good receivers there. And I expect Juju to be able to get loose as well a little bit. That being said, it's hard to beat the Patriots in Foxborough. I know early in the season, the last few years, the Patriots have struggled a little bit, but it's week 1 at home. They're raising the Super Bowl banner. I just don't see them losing. It'll be a close one, but I get the Patriots winning this one 28-24. All right. Moving on now to Monday Night Football. You have the Houston Texans versus the New Orleans Saints. The Texans coming off some of those big moves they just made, bringing in left tackle Laramie Tunsil to try and solidify that offensive line for Deshaun Watson. Now, one thing I do worry about is there's a lot of chemistry that you need on the offensive line, a lot of communication that has to happen, pre-play and during a play. I think you may see some issues there. Just a little bit of an issue early on here in the first week or so of them meshing. They're only going to have a week of practice really to get up to speed, get comfortable together. Obviously, it's still an improvement, even with maybe some communication breakdowns throughout the game. But, it's something to look for. The Saints have an improved pass rush. Their defense the second half last year was very good. be able to slow that Texans offense down. Texans did add Kenny Stills, another field stretcher. It looks like Will Fuller's going to be good to go week 1. A field stretcher himself. But I really think that the defense of the Saints will be able to slow the Texans down here. And I expect the Saints offense to be the typical Saints offense, I guess. I think they'll be able to score a lot here. You see a lot of Alvin Kamara. Sorry, a little brain fart there. But I expect to see a lot of Alvin Kamara. I think Latavius Murray will fill that marking role just fine. Jared Cook adding into that offense as well. And obviously you still have Michael Thomas there. I have the Saints winning this one 42-28. Now, one of the best parts of week 1 of football is we get 2 Monday night football games. My favorite part is that means the first Monday night football game starts really early. The downside is that second Monday night football game ends really late, and I'm an old man. I like to go to bed. But we have the Broncos versus the Raiders in that second game. Now, the Raiders hoping to have a very improved offense here, bringing in Antonio Brown, Tyrell Williams. They draft Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow, a wide receiver. But they'll be going up against the Broncos, which is one of the best defenses in the NFL still. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb on that D-line. I expect this to really be a defensive kind of a defensive slugfest. You'll have the best defense in the game in the Broncos going against, in this particular game, not in the NFL when I say game. The Broncos, they're the superior defense. The Raiders definitely have the superior offense here. And then you have a bad Raiders defense going up against what will probably be kind of a bad Broncos offense. I don't expect much out of Joe Flacco. They will be run heavy with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay. I expect this to be a low scorer. I think really the Achilles heel is going to be that Raiders defense, and maybe you get a little Joe Flacco magic. But I have the Broncos winning a close one here, 17-14.